Welcome to coverage here of the Magic Online Champion Showcase Season 2. My name is Corey Baumeister, and today I am joined by fellow Cube lover, as well as Pro Tour Neon Dynasty champion, Mr. Ely Cassis. Ely, how you doing today, and what are you looking forward to?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me, Corey. It's nice to be alongside the estimable Corey Baumeister. I'm looking forward, I know, right? I'm looking forward to some high-level Magic played from some of the most skilled people we have in the field, and most of all, Vintage Cube. This is the format. We have Power 9 in there, we have crazy combos, and anything could happen. It's just kind of wonderful to see.
Yeah, you know, I feel like you don't play as much Magic as maybe you did 10 years ago, family, business, all that kind of stuff. So whenever I see you playing Magic, it's usually prepping for a Pro Tour or playing vintage cubes, you know, with LSB or doing 8-man cube drafts pretty much consistently, right?
Very guilty on that. That's my guilty pleasure these days, is team drafting vintage cube. It's just some of the most fun Magic. If I still want to enjoy the game, not competitively, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, but of course you still want to be beating these players for just straight pride, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah, we got to win every time.
Okay, everyone. So as we get ready to show you this booster draft, first we're going to give you a schedule of what you're going to be seeing on this entire broadcast. So let's pull that up. We are going to be starting off this morning here with a draft, and then rounds 1 through 3 will be all vintage cube till we find someone who wins their pod. Then rounds 4 through 6, those will be modern, trying to find who wins their pod. Those two players will go to the grand finals and play off for all the money, all the trophies, and all the glories. And of course, rounds 4 through 6 for modern, we'll be joined by Reed Duke in the booth. You'll be stepping away for that one. Will be really, really fun here. But now, Ely, how do you actually qualify for this event?
That's a great question. So we have these tournaments on Magic Online. They start out with a really large field, sometimes over 300 plus players. And then you'll top 8 one of those, qualifying for this other prestigious tournament that's a 32-person tournament. These are showcase qualifiers, where first place, the winner of these, gets an invite to the mock. So that's a really great prize. So obviously, these are huge events. And then after that, we have the showcase opens that are limited tournaments. And these are 2 of them, and they're pretty open to anyone that wants to sign up. And again, first place finishers get invited to the mocks, and then there's 2 more slots that go to the people who have the most cumulative top finishes on the mocks leaderboard. And then these are the 8 players that comprise this very prestigious event.
I try every year, Ely. I play in these showcase qualifiers. I actually played in both of the showcase opens. You know, I always try, but yet I'm always here commentating.
Oh.
That's all right, because I get to call a vintage cube draft with one of my good buddies and the best Magic player in the world. So I really can't complain here. Now let's talk about what these players are actually playing for as far as the cash goes. So limited and constructed, both players, or all 8 of these players, will be in each of those categories. So no matter what, you're walking away with $1,000, even if you go 0-6 in this event. But then each win you get is cumulative. So first win, $1,000 extra bucks. Second win, $2,000 extra bucks. Third win is really what we're talking about here. Getting that $4,000 extra dollars into your pocket, and then qualification to the World Championship here in 2026. These 2 invites are basically going to be the first 2 players that are qualified for the most prestigious event of the year, the World Championship. And Ely, you definitely have plenty of experience playing in the World Championship. You know, you took second in 2021. What is it like to play in the World Championship year after year?
Oh, it's just such a total honor. You have the best people in the whole world, and it's kind of like you're representing your country, and you're almost fighting for glory. And the idea that you could be on a Magic card and be eternalized for the rest of time, in a way, it's something.
It really is. You know, I used to play those World Championships when they were just still big Pro Tours. You know, so it doesn't have that same appeal, I think, as it does now. You know, these tournaments are much smaller, and it truly is the best players in the world. So being able to qualify for that is what all of these players are very much looking out for. And speaking of the players, Ely, who exactly is qualified for this event, and anybody you want to keep an eye on?
We certainly have 8 of the sharpest minds. These are long-term moto grinders. If I had to pick my top 3, we have Tom White, McWinsauce, as he's also known. We have Yuki Ichikawa, and especially the young goat Nathan Stoyer. These are my top picks to, I think, perform well in this event.
Yeah, definitely the favorites in the event. All the rest of the players are still phenomenal Magic players, and any one of these players could take it down. But hey, Nathan Stoyer played this event multiple times. The last time he played in one of these boxes, he won it. You know, he straight up took it down. So Nathan is looking to do that again here. So let's bring it back and get ready for, well, what you're all here to watch here. And that's going to be a good old vintage cube draft. But before we get into the actual draft itself, Ely, where we will be watching Nathan Stoyer, one of your teammates, what do you like in this cube? What is your style? You know, kind of, what are you hoping to open, I guess, even though I think I probably know. And how is this cube different than the previous iterations?
Every cube has a sort of like focus. So some are combo oriented, some are more aggro oriented. This one feels like more of a fair mid-range oriented cube with a pretty decent color balance. So I'm pretty much trying to play the seat and see what color pairs are open to me rather than pre-deciding, and I'm trying to make something that fits well in a mid-range grindy kind of a battle. Favorite card to open?
Yeah, go ahead.
Favorite card open is certainly Black Lotus, and doing whatever wonky combos you can do with either Luris or Six or Sarah Paragon, and just getting to go nuts on turn 1.
So that's your secret to cubing, is do Black Lotus and do it often?
If I can.
Okay, fair enough. The thing that I've been having a decent amount of success with, and I don't know if this is like, you know, truly a great strategy, but the Mardu mid-rangey colors. I've been having a lot of success with either, you know, black red, maybe having a hybrid plan with some reanimator strategies, or just mopey mid-range Mardu decks. Is that something you've been doing well with, or what's your kind of favorite archetype these days?
It's probably a weakness in my arsenal that I don't draft Mardu very often, but also in our team drafts with these other players, there are certain players that always draft Mardu. So I almost avoid it intentionally, just knowing what my opposition is doing. And they do very well with it. Mardu has a lot of powerful combinations, and you're almost incentivized to splash for bombs and to play multiple colors and to have some kind of an aggressive strategy. But I would say you generally want to see what your seat has, even if you have a favorite like Mardu.
Okay, makes sense to me. So, Ely, what do you say? How about we, you know, be done talking and we go watch a booster draft? You in?
Let's do it. Draft.
Let's do it. Okay, let's check out our featured drafter here. It's Nathan Stoyer. You know, one of, like you were saying, the young GOAT. Nathan Stoyer has won a world championship. He has won a pro tour. He has top-8'd multiple other premium events. And, well, you know, I mean, he's still a very, very young guy, so he has a bright future ahead of him. He basically had a Hall of Fame career in 1 year, which is so unheard of. He channeled his win in the Mox back in 2020, I believe, maybe 2021, into making it to the World Championship, into making it to the finals, where he played against this scrub by the name of, it was Eli Cassis. He beat in the finals, didn't
he? Yeah. I'll always remember what AO does for the rest of time now, just for my match. It's just etched in my mind. It was so close, but Nathan is just a young goat.
What does it do? Does it award you second place money? Is that what AO does?
That's exactly what AO does. It says when it goes to the graveyard, you get second place.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, that finals was awesome. It was a really special moment. You know, you played phenomenal as well, and then Nathan Stoyer played that Grixis deck to holding the trophy, barely holding the trophy. It was a little bit too large for him.
For anyone, that thing was huge.
That thing was huge. It was really impressive. So, been playing for about 10 years, and has worked his way up to the highest level of the game. So, all right, let's dive on in and get started here with this Vintage Cube draft. All right, looking at the first pick here, looks like we have Strip Mine reserved. There's Prismatic Vista, some lands. No power, though, Ely. What do you like?
There's a few things I like here. So certainly fixing is important in cubes. So Vista, Strip Mine, Underground Sea are all great starts to this draft. And then if you want something that isn't fixing and just a powerful card, Fiery Confluence, destroying 3 artifacts in Vintage Cube is huge. Dealing 6 to your opponent out of nowhere, or even just sweeping a lot of creatures and go wide strategies. It offers so much flexibility and power within one card. But most of all, I'm taking the Strip Mine because it leads to just so many powerful combo strategies that close out games.
Okay, Strip Mine is the pick here. It's not power, so you're a little disappointed in that, but you know, you don't open it every single time. So looking at this pick, a nice combo with Strip Mine is Renin 6. Exploration is another solid card. Outside of that, we have some solid lands. What do you like here? You just windmill slamming that Bright Glass Gearhulk?
Well, most of what I'm looking at here is like, what are the powerful cards? Because I don't want to just jump in. I want to stay flexible. So to me, No More Lies is one of the better spells because counter magic in Vintage Cube is so premium. But I'm still thinking maybe I should take mana fixing first because just dedicating a blue-white pick might be kind of tough. So Spirebluff Canal or Starting Town are very appealing to me. Even though Exploration is good, it tends to be a card that wheels a lot. So that's kind of where I would be.
Renin 6, though, is the pick. I feel like that's maybe not the highest pick. I've seen that so late. You know, I've last picked a Renin 6 before. But, of course, with Strip Mine, it's really good.
Yeah, this feels like zeroing in on the Strip Mine and trying to have the combo established early, which is definitely another strategy.
Okay, so we have Through the Breach. Skull Clamp is a really nice card. Parallax Wave, maybe even Nissa if you want some rampy decks. Some nice ones here.
Oh, certainly. And I really love Skull Clamp. It just makes so many fun plays, turning your elves that are ramping into draw twos later, or making blockers tough, or, you know, attacking with a creature and they just don't want to block it either. But Parallax Wave, also a really strong pick. I think everything else in this pack doesn't quite stack up to those two. So it's either between the Wave or the Clamp, and it's staying either with colorless cards on color that will make most decks, or taking the really powerful Parallax Wave and going in a white direction.
Yeah, I definitely like just taking power, you know, as much power as you can in those first 5 picks or whatever, but Skull Clamp would leave you a little bit more open, so I think that's what I would do, but Parallax Wave is incredible. There's some really nice combos that you can do with the card as well. So Parallax Wave into the pile. All right, looking at this, we have a Sylvan Safekeeper. You know, if we can maybe find a Nadu, something like that, do some combos with that. Berserk in there, Grave Titan for maybe some reanimate strategies. What do you like here?
I don't like anything here. This is a really rough pack.
This is not great.
So Sylvan Safekeeper fits the theme of like the Reddit 6 Strip Mine deck. Grave Titan is good if you're a reanimator deck, but this is a lot of fill and not a lot of excitement here.
Yeah, that is a less than exciting card here. So picking up Sylvan Safekeeper, you know, maybe you want to try to find Nadu. Is that something that's on your mind, or is maybe Nadu not as good in this version of the cube?
I think Nadu actually gets better when you're expecting like a slower, grindier matchup. So definitely excited to have Nadu pretty much always.
Okay, so here is Crucible Giver. Even Inquisition is a solid spell. Also, you know, the Tyrant, if you really want to try to go big here and ramp. What do you like here?
I like either Inquisition or Chain Lightning. I want to have early answers and interaction because I didn't open power. I'm not having a quick deck out of the gates. It looks like I'm drafting something reactive. So I much prefer removal or maybe hand discard here.
Okay, and taking a look, now we're switching to the view where we get to see who's passing to Nathan, who's Nathan passing to, and wow, we got a power check there. We got a Mox Ruby down in the bottom left part of our screen. That is Guillermo, and nickname Zampa. So that is Zampa's Mox Ruby there. That's a nice start.
Excellent start, especially having the Ruby, Clamp, Confluence, Starting Town. The deck is themed, and most of those cards are going to make the deck.
Okay, so we ended up picking Crucible of Worlds to be able to get Strip Mine going. I mean, that's nice. Being able to bring back Strip Mine in 2 different ways already, I'm here for that. Looking at this pack, we could do Orcus Lumberjack if you want to do some ramping, or just good old-fashioned Birds of Paradise. I'm here for it.
Bird of Paradise is definitely something that still hasn't gotten outclassed even in 2025. I would love
That's
to
a
take
card
birds here.
that lives on, you know?
Hmm.
All right, picking up the bird here. I absolutely love that pick. And now looking at the next pick here. Sarah Paragon, like you were saying, that looks pretty nice. Being able to recur some things. Overlord of the Mistmore seems okay. Fanatic of Ronus, just okay. Anything you like here?
So I kind of like Overlord and Sarah Paragon, both great cards, but also Chandra is a very powerful Planeswalker, and Planeswalkers in
Okay.
general are powerful in this format. So it's certainly between one of those three cards for me, and it could go either way. Sarah Paragon is nice with Strip Mine, but you only get the one extra use because then it gets exiled, but you also gain 2
Yeah.
life, so it's still really good.
Okay. Yeah, Sarah Paragon, just a nice card at, recurring that Black Lotus when we open it pack 2, right? Oh, wait a minute. There's Duelist of the Mind. That is literally Nathan Stoyer's card from winning the World Championship here. I mean, this is poetry that we get to see this in the pack together, don't you think?
Absolutely. His very image is sitting on the screen. He's looking at himself right now.
Yeah, he's looking at you. He's like, remember the finals of that World Championship, Elite?
Hashtag never forget.
Yeah, you say AO gives you the reminder, but I think Duelist of the Mind would do so as well. So
Yeah.
Cosmic Ground Zenith is the pickup there. A solid card, and Lush Portico here is nice.
Yeah, this is a good fixing, and having us available when you're already prioritizing fetch lands is really important in these kinds of decks.
Yep, totally agree. Being able to even just have one Surveil land, it just changes, kind of how you can play out your deck. That turn 1 fetch land, say go, and get a Surveil in, having that reliably every single turn is awesome. So Exploration tabled, as well as Jetmir Garden here, or Burst Lightning, like you were saying, for that, early damage and control type thing.
Or the Gearhulk. There's actually a lot of
Yeah.
picks here that fit this kind of deck and theme. And so it's kind of unfortunate they're all in the same pack. The last pack
Yeah.
also had really good picks that were all good for this deck.
So we were kind of watching and drafting with Nathan, or at least you and your team were, and I was kind of observing, trying to get an idea of how he likes to draft and stuff like that. And I did see him utter one phrase of, "If y'all ever catch me drafting bright glass Gear Hulk," and use some colorful language at the end. So I don't think he loves that card.
It's really hard to make it work in this format, but it seems like we already have the base for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't consider it either.
Yeah, this is 100% the best start you could have to play that Gear Hulk. But picks up Nissa, picks up a Tameo, leans that one to the side, aka insinuating that, he's probably not going to play that one, but Nissa looks great. And then Vaultborn Tyrant, here just a nice gigantic creature to ramp in here. So as we kind of get towards the end of pack 1 here, Temple Garden being picked up, which is nice. How do you like this deck so far, Ely? Maybe like 1 out of 10.
Oh, it's more like a 6, unfortunately. You don't have power, and our early spells are not that quick out of the gate and not that devastating yet. So I'd be looking to get a lot of help.
Okay, looking to get some help in this pack. Now, looking at this next one, dang, no power once again, but hey, we got a Palace Jailer. That's gotta be a nice pick. As well as Llanowar Elf, maybe Luris here. Gotta be Jailer though, right?
Absolutely. Jailer is just one of the top picks in this cube format. It's just so good overall. Green-white needs removal. It's kind of what this deck wanted right here.
Okay, Palace Jailer highlighted. Looks like Nathan agrees with us. I mean, that card's just so incredible. Really does some nasty things. If you can ever exile a creature with Jailer, follow it up with Parallax Wave, really clear out your opponent's ability to steal the Monarch from you, you got to be feeling pretty nice.
Yeah, or even just re-trigger the Monarch by using Parallax Wave to take out your Jailer, and then having Parallax Wave go on its own fading, and then coming back and just having it.
That's why we got you in here, man, because that's the next level plays that we all want to be hearing about. So, all right, looking at this in our colors, we of course have that green-white Razor Verge Thicket, but a pretty weak second pick here. Celestial Colonnade, or maybe the Sowing Mycospawn, or just another Wasteland. That looks good too. What do you like?
It's not that weak of a second pick. Dismember is considered a very high priority pick, having
Oh,
one mana removal spells that are colorless essentially. You'll just always pay for a life basically. And green white is especially lacking in removal. Like white has some, but green has almost none. So
yeah.
Dismember is a fantastic pickup right here.
So you're Windmill Slamming Dismember here?
I think so. I think that's to me better than prioritizing Wasteland. You already have Strip Mine. There's not
Yeah.
all matchups where Wasteland's even good, whereas like Strip Mine is already better.
Yeah, Nathan went with the Wasteland. I think I would have too. Like, maybe I mean, I clearly undervalued Dismember there, as it wasn't necessarily even totally on my radar, but the explanation you gave makes a lot of sense. I probably would have drafted that Wasteland too. And okay, so here's another, a mini little combo there with all of these Strip Mines, Wastelands. There's 6.
More cards if we had Lotus, that would be fantastic. I agree.
When
Six
we
is
get Lotus, you mean, right?
That's a better way of saying it. I think six is just a little slow here with our start. Like if we don't have anything going on in turns 1 and 2, really. So here's where I'd prioritize something like Thoughtseize. We need a major disruptor that's really cheap, and even though we're not really black yet, we're green, and green is the color of splashing every other color. So you can kind of just take the best card and fit it all in.
Okay, yeah, that is also not a pick I would have considered, but of course, Thoughtseize is an amazing card. But yeah, just not having. Wow, Nathan agrees with you there, and looks like he was leaning on 6, but decides to pick the Thoughtseize. So it's like you guys are teammates, and you guys share some opinions on this, huh?
Well, it'd be more than that too. He's the young goat, so I feel like he sees the line, knows the line, and he's doing it well.
That's fair. Okay, looking at this. Well, I mean, Pest Infestation's a great card, and it's either that or Path, I guess, huh?
Path to Exile is a really good card as well, but it's not early removal, unfortunately, because if you ramp your opponent, especially in mid-range decks, you can really get blown out. Whereas Pest
Yeah.
Infestation, very flexible. It can be a 3-drop, a 5-drop, a 7-drop. If you have some infinite mana combo, it's your win con. It's just so great and flexible that way.
Okay, so highlighted the Pest Infestation. If we had to look for a card we'd hope to wheel here, what would you be looking at?
The Smuggler's Copter, ideally.
Okay. Yeah, Smuggler's Copter in this kind of deck does look strong. We're going to be bringing in the other players here. We'll do a little power check. Oh my goodness, I believe I see a Time Walk there from Zampa. So double power deck there. That one's one to keep an eye on.
It's a good day to be Zampa right now. A themed blue-red, excellent deck with great curve and double power, and we're not even in pack 3 yet. That's the player to watch.
I can hear the jealousy in your voice.
Very jealous.
How awesome that deck is. But here is the Zeator's Proving Ground, being able to have that fixing here for Thoughtseize if we can play it, and immediately highlights Baloth Prime. You like that card as well?
I do. There's very few payoffs. So we have Titania and Baloth Prime for like Sylvan Safekeeper, and this is just a really good card for what we're already building. We have Strip Mine and Wasteland, so we can actually turn Strip and Waste on ourselves to do more sacrificing of lands and kind of get really powerful effects out of this. It's important for this theme.
That's 5 brain right there. I love that. So just destroy your own land. So looking at this, we have Tropical Island. If you want to maybe splash blue, we can do the other Crucible Room effect there, or just get lost for a removal spell.
I prefer Containment Priest here. It's such a good combo with Parallax Wave. So you exile 5 things, let the fading go, and before they come back, play the Containment Priest, and now you've exiled 5 creatures, which is a one-sided Wrath of God.
Okay, yeah, I suppose that is pretty nice. It is vulnerable, of course. You have a 2-mana 2/2 that can die to any instant speed removal, and maybe there's a bit of a blowout scenario, but yeah, I mean, the ceiling on that kind of play is so good. Or another one I love with Parallax Wave, just like Tidebind during the trigger.
Yeah, there's other ways to nullify it, and you have Sylvan Safekeeper to protect your Containment Priest.
Ooh, okay, now we're cooking. So looking at this pack, there is Chain of Smog, a combo card with Witherbloom Apprentice, but Nothing like that going to be picked. Cathar Commando looks decent. And Sentinel of the Nameless City is not that great, though, right?
No, well, it's okay actually, but Chain of Smog here is an excellent pick because we know there's a Sedgemoor Witch in this next pack. If nobody took it, now we have another infinite combo loop where we can do kind of gross things.
The fact that you can even remember that from our first pick just shows why you're a much better cube drafter than me, and there it is, and a large percentage of the world. But yeah, the Witch came back, but without the Smog here, now you're just taking one of the elves, either the Avacyn's Pilgrim or Elvish Mystic, right?
Certainly, and Pilgrim is much better than Mystic. Usually if you can already produce green, you want to be able to produce another color. And I appreciate the compliment about the memory thing, but I make sure to highlight certain combo cards when I see them, so I'm not memorizing every pick. It's just important to memorize the certain ones that, if they lap, could be good indicators.
You see, I'm just behind my keyboard just going, loo, let's slam some big creatures and see what I get. Then every pack is a surprise to me, you know, like...
Living on the
Sowing
edge.
Myco's Bond gets picked here. That's a nice pickup.
Yeah, that's an easy one. You really want Strip Mine in your hands, and this is another Strip Mine, basically.
Okay, love that. Yeah, not many ways to, do the kicker, but I guess there's a few. But and wow, Council's Judgment made it back, as well as City of Traders. City of Traders is not necessarily amazing in this version of this cube, right? I feel like it lost a bit with there being a lot less combo-centric approaches in this cube.
From a deck building perspective, you really want City of Traders in decks that are not multicolored. So the more the shorter number of colors you can play, the better that card gets. It gets really complicated trying to figure out double pips with having different kinds of double colorless, and then it just doesn't function smoothly in decks, whereas the variance just goes up on the card.
Makes sense to me. Wings of Abandonment as the pickup there, and then we have Jack Rabbit or Woodfall Primus. Looks like we are getting the old Jack Rabbit. And looking at this pack too, I don't know if we greatly improved. You know, I feel like we really need some power in this deck, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. And then certain picks like Territorial Kavu there, I think I might have prioritized. Since we already have double Triumph type of deck, we're short on 2 drops that are proactive.
All right, looking at our third pack, and no power once again. That is not ideal, as you really want one, and you're probably not going to get past one unless you open a pack with double power. But hey, we don't have a single fetch land so far. This Wooded Foothills does look good, but still disappointing, right?
Disappointing, but also necessary. We really needed Wooded Foothills for this deck, and it's maybe one of the best fetches we could have opened, if not the best fetch.
Yeah, I suppose. It gets the Proving Ground, gets the Portico, gets the Jetmir Garden. I mean, yeah, it just gets every one of our duels right now, so that is nice.
I think
We're
the
gonna
only thing
pick
is
this Wooded Foothills here and see what we got to work with here. Our mana base does look pretty good. You know, we just really need something big. And oh man, that Boros Flyer, Athari, right?
Athari, yeah.
I'd be slamming that. Azurin Orb does have a lot of combos though. What would you pick here?
Certain Orb and Titania both really good in this deck, but yeah, I'm an Athari lover as well. Sometimes that card just comes down and steals the game on its own, which is really, really, really good.
Yeah, and I would have picked the creature that does the busted thing instead of, the 0-drop that, of course, can combo and do some busted stuff. I prefer the big flying mythic that puts things on easy mode a bit, but hey, Zurin Orb could be a phenomenal combo if we start seeing Crucible, Zurin Orb, Strip Mine. I mean, that is something that is very real and very hard to come back from.
They do all fit together nicely, but you can sometimes get Zurin Orb on the wheel too.
Yeah, that's what I would figure, that it would at least have a chance at it. So looking at this one, we got Draven Inspector. I love that. As well as Knight of the Reliquary. Normally, maybe not a card I even pay that much attention to. I guess maybe I don't draft green-white that often. But this feels like maybe the best Knight of the Reliquary deck I've seen.
Knight of the Reliquary would be very good here, but yeah, green-white's seldom drafted. It's not a powerful arc people think of, so it's usually a card that will lap as well. Mind Twist. I'm a Mind Twist lover, so I pretty much slam that card whenever I see it. I hate to pass it. I always lose to it when I
Really?
pass it, so I feel like part of my love for it is like I don't want to lose to it. But I've also just had so many blowouts with it that it's just such a great card to take. And then we're already splashing black, and it's kind of like a great splash card too.
Yeah, that is probably the best splash card. I've been less impressed with Mind Twist in this version of the cube, but maybe I'm more of a Mind Twist hater. But oh my goodness, speaking of splash and black though, Reanimate here is incredible, but Ignoble Hierarch is also good in this deck. What are you picking?
Picking Reanimate just on power level, that card is just gross, and it's really hard to pass it and not worry about losing to it later. So I think Reanimate for me is for sure the pick.
Yeah, because this is, very different than if you're playing on Magic Online, you jump in the queues where you draft, play your matches, throughout the next couple days or whatever. This is within a pod, so you do have to focus on what you're passing people. And, I think your years of team draft experience has really helped you on that, but is that a tough skill to get when you switch from these queue drafts to a draft like this to be able to realize that you need to worry about what you pass a little bit more?
I'd certainly say so. And you might get a little riffing from your teammates if you're passing crazy stuff. But wow, Minskin Boo.
Oh yeah, Minskin Boo here. I mean, just an absolute windmill slam here, right? Like, I guess Gut is pretty damn good as well, but Minskin Boo is just like one of the best cards in this set.
Yeah, if the power 9 occupy the power 10, the spots, the top 10, then Minskin Boo is the 11 to 20, and then Gut is like the 21 to 30. So both amazing cards, but Minsk having a little bit of an edge.
I lose to both of them so often that they're kind of the same to me, as they both wreck me. But looking at this pick, Season Pyromancer is nice, but we probably can't cast it, as double red is a little tough. Courser looks good as well to me, but overall pretty weak pack, huh? Oh, we're highlighting the Flash.
I like the Flash pick here because I don't want to face it. I think it's an excellent cut.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I probably would have just tried to make my deck better, but I don't play in these pod drafts that often. As we get Scrubland picked up, helps with the fixing. Our one fetch land doesn't fetch it, but still, this is a solid land.
Certainly, Necromancy is also a really solid pick, and White of the Reliquary, if we feel like our Black Splash is really there, is a solid pick. So this is kind of a tough one, especially since you already have a bunch of fixing. So I don't know if I'm taking Scrubland here, or if I'm prioritizing something that fits the theme. But I don't fault.
There was Generous Ent there too. Even Haywire Might. Haywire Might doesn't seem horrific in this cube as well. Being able to just blow up some tricky to deal with artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. We do have Council's Judgment and Pest Infestation already, so you don't have to worry about artifacts and enchantments too much, but I definitely wouldn't fault any player for any of those picks.
That's fair. Okay, kind of winding down here. We got to start getting some good stuff. And that Chain of Smog earlier. If we would have got the Witch Apprentice as well as this Witherbloom Apprentice, that actually could have been nice though, huh?
Yeah, now I feel like we'd have a really nice themed fit together like side combo package. And then there's even a Green Sun Zenith earlier in the draft as well.
It's so hard to move into those kind of lanes though, because you don't know what you're going to get, and if you're like a normal human, you don't remember exactly what's going to be wheeled to you. But it turns out in hindsight that would have been pretty nice. But hey, a solid reprieve here. That's actually really nice in a deck like this, wouldn't you say?
Really, really nice. People don't expect that kind of an effect out of a green-white deck, so usually you catch people quite by surprise.
Any Remand style card, sign me up. That's one of my favorite cards of all time.
I'm almost surprised from like a deck building perspective that they're so good, but after thoroughly playing them in Vintage Cube, yeah, they are so good.
It just feels good to say no to your opponent and also draw a card. I mean, that's like what Magic is all about.
Absolutely, especially when they're playing something that costs more mana than you're spending. You're gaining an advantage there in a sense.
Yeah, 100%. So winding down, and there is the Knight of the Reliquary, which tabled as you were alluding to and kind of expecting. Thraven Inspector is great though too, but you gotta pick Knight, right?
Yeah, this isn't really a Thraben Inspector deck, and I would certainly be taking the Knight of the Reliquary here. Kind of.
Whoa, yeah, Knight of the Reliquary with Wasteland and stuff, that seems like really important to me. Or, okay, now Bloodbraid Challenger, that's a pretty solid card in this deck, right?
Oh, I
With
agree
Thalia.
too. There is some thought to Badlands for splashing, but we don't really have a 5, and Challenger seems good here too. So
Yeah.
either one of those cards are great.
Ooh,
A
and a
nice really late
Savannah
to
late
that.
pick. That's a nice late pick. And a Courser right at the end as well. So, all right, winding down towards the end of this draft. Ely, what do you think? Is this a good deck, or is this a train wrecker? Because the thing is, you know, you're very incentivized to be swinging for the fences here with the structure of the mocks. You know, you go 2-1, it's fine, but you really want to be 3-0ing your pod. How do we like Nathan's deck?
It does not seem like a 3-0. I don't want to call it a train wreck. There's some powerful cards there. We didn't
Okay.
get any power, but there is some decent theme at work, and there are some also powerful catch-up spells between the Parallax Wave, the Palace Jailer, the Winds of Abandon. We have ways to dramatically catch up quick out of nowhere and make really powerful plays. Even the Pest Infestation does that, and a decent amount of ramp in the one-drop creatures. But we seem to just be lacking a little bit of cohesion and like curve pressure that we want to be applying to most other mid-range decks.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at every deck that players drafted, and what do you like as far as a grading system, Ely? Do you want to do like A through F? You want to do a 1 through 10? What do you like to do usually when you look at cube decks?
I like a 1 through 10. It lets us do like 6.5 if we don't feel like it's a 6 or a 7, you know?
Okay, well that leads me to my first one. Nathan Stoyer, our featured drafter, what do you give this one?
I give this one a 6. I'd like to think it's close to a 6.5, so it's closer to a little bit more than less. But yeah, we're just missing out on a few of those things I mentioned earlier.
Okay, sounds good. So now we'll take a look at seat 2. This is Zampa, who had that double power. We see the Mox Ruby. We see a Time Walk there. This looks... oh my god. I mean, this deck looks like the most fun you can possibly have playing Magic.
Yeah, Zampa's deck is gross. I'm giving it either 8.5 or a 9, which is a rare grade for me. It has to have multiple power, has to be perfectly on theme, has to great mana, and it just has all of that.
Yeah, this is definitely someone to keep an eye on. This is someone who we would not be surprised if this was the person that was heading to the World Championship here after this draft. Really nice stuff here from Zampa. So let's take a look at seat 3. This is Allison Silva. Let's see Allison's deck here. And okay, I see a Mox Diamond. I see a Jite. Ooh, the One Ring. That's got to be in that, you know, right outside of Power 10. That's a card that I first pick quite often. And there is a Mind Twist as well. What do you like about this one?
Oh, first of all, you're definitely right. The One Ring is in the 11 through 20 top best cards, especially being colorless. This deck's good, but it's like black-red mid-range, and so it's trying to really play a fair battle well, and if the opponent's playing fair, then it'll stand a chance. But some of these cards are not as powerful, like standing alone on their own. I try to give this deck a 6 as well.
Okay.
If it had some more like juice early, like it really wants to draw this Mox Diamond every opening hand, then it would get a few more points. But as it stands, I think around a 6 is probably where I rate it.
Okay, that makes sense. This is kind of that Mardu shell, these Mardu color pairs that I end up drafting a lot of decks that end up like this. And let me tell you, they are 2-1 and 1-2s pretty consistently, but the amount of 3-0s I've had with them is not great. So we'll see here for Allison. Let's look at seat 4. This is maybe our most established player, definitely one of 2 here. It's Yuki Ichikawa, and oh my goodness, I can only see one card right now, and it is just my eyes are fixated on our beautiful, beautiful enchantment here, Underworld Breach. A combo deck here, it really looks like. Walk us through this one.
Yeah, so this deck's trying to do the Brain Freeze Underworld Breach combo, and generally speaking, you want to have Lion's Eye Diamond to go with it. I don't see it here, so that's probably an unfortunate miss in this draft. but it seems like we have every other piece that we need to kind of assemble the mana and just go at it from that perspective. So the hard part is Yuki won't be able to win early. So Yuki will need to stave them off a little bit and establish enough mana on the board so that they can do the breach combo. But if we get there, we have all the ways to do it. Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, like we will find these cards. We'll Wheel of Fortune into it if we need to. And the fun thing is too, if you really count your deck well and you manipulate your opponent's library well, you can win with Underworld Breach and Wheel of Fortune and just keep Wheel of Fortuning and having them deck exactly. Meanwhile, you're left with a no library. So there's some interesting interactions you can do here like that as well.
Wow, that's big brain stuff here. So, okay, this deck looks cool. There's a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, maybe getting to the late game seems a little difficult. What would you give this deck?
If this deck had a Lion's Eye Diamond, it might be an 8.5 to a 9 also. Without it, without having any kind of fast mana, this deck probably also gets a 6. I could see it just being really weak in the early game and not being able to assemble well.
Okay, makes sense to me. Let's go to seat 5. This is Alejandro Romero. And okay, Mox Jet, we got a little power action there. Some good old Golgari. There is that Reanimate. Okay. I mean, this looks pretty solid to me. As far as gigantic targets, we have probably my favorite, being able to get back Archon. It seems like one of the more powerful things to do, as well as this really powerful Celestia Mythic as well. How does this look?
This deck looks great. This deck's probably in the 7.5 to 8 range. Okay. Probably closer to 7.5 though. Really powerful spells, has a piece of power, it has a reanimate theme like sub-packaged into some good green spells that are just splashing. I like a lot of the cards that are going on here. I think the only thing that this deck is missing is it doesn't have as much like deck manipulation. So getting creatures into the yard, like if we had an Entomb, would be really big and really help push this deck higher. But you do have some of the best reanimate creatures. Torsten's fantastic. If we had like Natural Order here, it would level up that card again some more as well. So definitely a good deck, but I could see it maybe lacking a little bit of cohesion in needing that extra piece of how do we get these things into the yard.
Yeah, and the mana base maybe is a little bit to be desired for, just 4 non-basics. It's fine, though. This is pretty much a 2-color deck, but, that is a lot of basics for Vintage Cube, wouldn't you say?
Certainly, yeah. We don't want to be in that range. Fortunately, there's not many green cards, but also, unfortunately, some of those green cards are 1-drops that we want to be able to play early.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. What do we have, 4 sources for an Elvish Mystic on turn 1?
Yeah, and I don't know if there were better cards, but we're kind of playing 18 land with the Generous Ent and the Mox Jet totaled into the mana base, and we don't have a high curve. So we can use those lands with like 6 or pitch them to Liliana. So there are some outlets for them, but not a lot, where it's not likely we're going to hardcast Torsten, and maybe we'll hardcast Archon of Cruelty, but I think I would have liked to see something else to give the deck a little bit more smoothness towards the top. But still, a decent 7.5 I give this deck.
Can we even hardcast Torsten? Is it even possible?
Looks like no.
I guess we can Green Sun Zenith for 7. That's kind of the one way that you can quote unquote cast it, but no ability to do that one. So we're reanimating that one.
I got it. We Dothy Voidwalker a Mox Pearl from them.
This is why we pay you the big bucks, Ely, for this expert commentary that you're giving us. Absolutely love it, my man. All right, looking at seat 6 here. This is Jesse Samek. And let's see what Jesse drafted here. Looking at this, and ooh, baby. I know one of our mutual favorite cards here, the Lord High Artificer. Maybe not that amazing in this deck, but I know it is one of our favorite cards.
Yeah, it's a little out of place in this deck, and I guess I'm a little surprised to see it here, but there are some great cards.
Ely. Ephemerate it.
I should have seen that. You're right. I missed it. The combination of Guida Souls and Oscillate Pride, I mean, that's the energy deck in Modern. So it's a very
Yeah.
powerful two-card kind of combo. So if we can pull these things off together, it'll be very good. We certainly have like some of the cards that make us want to have like Urza Saga. Like there's a Lava Spur Boots in here, but it doesn't look like we have the Urza Saga. So that's probably a little bit of frown towning for having this kind of build. It seems like this deck was one that we tried to go artifacts and failed, and
Yeah,
so this
sure.
is like what we jumped to kind of like fix it so we didn't train wreck. And having said that, I think it's actually not bad. Just not super exciting. So some great one drops and some really great five drops, but like our fours do not fit the deck as well as they could. And then there just are no threes, no sixes, no sevens. And so we just really just have ones and twos and fives, and we're going to try to be flexible in between. So this deck probably gets a 6.5 from me.
Okay, all right. So yeah, maybe it didn't fully come together, but hey, I mean, Ephemerate on your Warped Riddler, these kind of things. There's some powerful things going on here, but things do gotta kind of break Jesse's way there. So let's take a look at seat 7. This is Thomas White, Mr. McWin Sauce. Let's see what he drafted here. We didn't get a peek of this, but okay, look in here and oh, baby, that's Ancestral Recall. That's a balance. Dak Faden as well, and a Time Warp. A lot of colors, but I mean, this deck looks sweet.
So I sometimes get teased in our team drafts because I value balance way higher than most people. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, this isn't the best balance deck because we don't have cheap artifacts and enchantments to make our hand size go down to balance the field. So it's a little out of place here, but obviously I'd still run it. I always run balance. Pretty much even in mono white aggro, I'll still run balance. The Ancestral Recall, really sweet. This deck is themed on Jeskai really well. It has the man lands, it has fixing, and it has an okay curve. Our one drops are not that exciting because it's not like we'll play Flame Slash on the play on turn 1, and Lightning Bolt, we have to hope they have a target for it, or Swords. But I mean, Ponder or Ancestral on turn 1 is great, but if you Ancestral on turn 1 and then your turn 2 is I don't have anything except keep up a counter or maybe play this Talisman of Progress, then you might end up discarding the hand size and kind of like negate part of the card advantage, which isn't the worst, especially if you're discarding Fallage maybe. But it's something where you're playing control here, and maybe there's not as many of the control elements that I'd like to see. This deck did get the Othari that we saw Nathan pass up on, and I think that's going to be essential for Tom to win games.
And pretty late, right? Like, I think McWinsots was like 4 seats away, so the fact that it even made it there is kind of wild to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. But we really just have those 2 win cons in this deck and not much else. So controlling the board state and really running our opponent out of resources is going to be important, and then following it up with the win cards so that they don't get exiled. Otherwise, I could just see this deck kind of decking.
Okay, yeah, honestly, I kind of could as well, but hey, we have the ultimate win con in the mana base, though. It's Celestial Colonnade, I mean, with your years of being friends with Shaheen Sarani, you should know that's the only win con we need, right, buddy?
The Shaheen Sarani, yes, of course. If you have any complaints, make sure you send your emails to him.
Exactly, yes, he is the complaint department, for sure. Shaheen catching strays here on this broadcast, gotta love it. So, what would you put for the grade here for McWinsauce?
It's between 7.5 and 8, and I can't decide which way I'm leaning. I think I would give it an 8 just on like the power of its spells and not really a lot of bad cards. So I'm leaning higher on it. And I could certainly see this card being a contender, this deck being a contender. I don't think it's going to do worse than 2-1 unless it gets pretty unlucky.
Okay, so as far as my calculations, I think Zampa was the higher grade, but other than that, Thomas White here getting the Ely stamp of approval as being the second highest, so keep an eye out on McWinsauce. And let's take a look at our final seat here. It is Adam Wasburn. Let's check out how his deck is, and oh, there's a lot of artifacts. So this is where we saw, and this is the draft we were kind of looking at the bottom right-hand corner of our screen. This is a workshop deck, as well as a pretty solid home for a City of Traders. If you're looking at a City of Traders deck, it's probably this one, huh?
Yes, but we're blue green with double green in channel, and then double blue. And if we're casting force will or force negation or kickering lose focus, so it's sometimes hard to make City of Traders work in a deck like this. You still play it. You still need to because you're trying to play more expensive CMCs earlier in the game to gain an advantage to get ahead. These decks have the ability to have like some explosive plays that really just blow the opponent out, but they tend to be less consistent and harder to pull off. So as much as I love drafting this style of deck, and I've drafted it a lot, I feel like this one didn't quite come together in the way I would have liked.
Okay.
Piecing together channel with a high drop, and there are only two, and there's no way to tutor either part really. It makes this deck a little bit harder to function. So this deck probably gets a 7 from me.
I mean, I guess we do have Channel and Walking Ballista. That's kind of cool as well, but that doesn't necessarily work out as well as, let's say, Channel Fireball or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like the Forensic Gadgeteer really needs the Basalt Monolith, and we didn't quite get that. And we have two different forces, Negation and Will, but our blue count is 6, maybe 7 cards. So we don't really have the pitchables, so which means we need to hard cast these things quite often.
Okay.
We didn't get the power that we wanted, or Tolarian Academy. Unfortunately, Adam missed out on some key things that I'm sure weren't in his seat to draft.
Yeah.
So kind of unfortunate. It's a high risk when you go for the artifact themed deck because if you get the cards, you probably 3-0 the draft. So it's probably smart to go this way, like you were saying. You really want to win it all and shoot for the fences. And it just seems like maybe the seat missed on card availability.
Okay, so what are you giving this kind of draft here? Are we in train wreck territory, or is this still just a mid grade?
It's still a mid grade. It still gets a 7 because it can still put up some really good results and have really fast curves and has decent combos. But I think 7 is a little bit generous, and 6.5 might be where realistically it plays out if I watched it a few times and saw the cohesion firsthand.
Okay, and still, I mean, you can always get an Oko on turn 2, and you can do some busted stuff, so we'll see if Adam can pull this out. So that is our 8 draft decks. We'll come back to the booth here and get ready here for round number 1. But before we get into that, let's talk about all the cool things that Magic Online has to offer here in the near future. A lot of cool stuff. So starting it off, Extra Life here. Magic Online is hosting its annual Extra Life charity stream on Saturday, November 8th. So you can join us to help raise money for the kids with prizes. Help raise money for kids. There's prizes, giveaways, trivia, interviews, and much more. So let's make some magic and make a difference. As well as next up, we have our creator game show. I've been seeing a lot of this, Ely. This is pretty sweet. So we're seeing 8 different creators that are jumping in and testing out their magic knowledge, their memory, drawing skills. They're doing all kinds of chaotic stuff there. So tune in Saturday, October 18th to check out the next creator showdown that's going on. Looks like a lot of fun. Next up, we have these pack wars on MTGO. This is really cool stuff as well. So some call it mini masters. We call it pack wars here. So you start with 1 pack and battle your way to victory, 1 booster pack at a time. It's simple, fast, and it's full of surprises. So check that out if you are interested. And then last but not least, it's the season of Cube. There are 4 different cubes over 4 different weeks. Ely, your ears perked up when we started talking about 4 different cubes, huh?
Oh yeah. CubeCon is such an awesome event.
It really is. So we've teamed up with CubeCon, content creators, and cube designers to bring you 4 jam-packed weeks of Cube, from vintage Cube to horror Cube, and kind of everything in between. So keep an eye out on our weekly blog for updates and scheduling info on that. I know you'll be in the queues for that one, huh, Ely?
Oh, yeah.
All right, everyone. So we are going to take just the shortest of break, and on the other side, we will have round 1 here of our Vintage Cube draft. Don't go anywhere.